Hello, hello, hello. Welcome all. So glad you all could be back for another Shaking Up the Algorithms. It is your girl, Tomise, also known as Miss J. I am here, and we are going to have a great, great show. This whole men's segment has been super exciting for me. And I'm excited that each of you have been participating and supporting us. I need to put my phone on do not disturb. But but in that light as well, I wanted to be able to bring about an opportunity for men to be able to have a voice and to be able to get their message or their feelings across, that a lot of us women may not know, or a lot of us women may not understand. So this is what it is for. It is definitely for my brothers, and for them to have that open space. Also, for those of you who may have watched the show last week, things got a little spicy on last week's show. But one thing I do want to say, shaking up the algorithms and myself, we want to ensure that anyone that is on our stage is respected at all times. We do not tolerate any type of disrespect in any way, shape, or form. So if anyone was offended in any type of way by the show, we do apologize. That is not something that we represent. And as one of our guests last week said, that is not a good representation of Black excellence. So, with that being said, I am going to get myself off the stage one more time because I did not put my background on, and you all should not be seeing my green screen. So I kind of slipped the ball tonight. But I'm going to also bring up all of my guests. Hopefully, some of my other guests will join us. If not, like I said, we're going to rock this out either way. So first off, with that being said, let's bring up our first guest. He is one of our regulars as well. He's like family to the show. So let's bring him up. He does not like me to call him doctor, but to me, he is a doctor. So let's bring up Dr. Chad Nails. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
That is not what I said.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show once again. Also, I am going to bring up another brother who is a familiar face to the show. We haven't seen him in a while, so this is really, really good for him to join us on tonight. Let's bring up Brother Wisdom. Come on up, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, welcome. Now, this is one of my favorite guests, and he's only been on here like once, but like he's one of my favorite people already. So let's bring up Pastor Pee Wee, Dr. Calvin Collins. Come on up, sir. And lastly, I'd like to bring up this gentleman. He doesn't even know me. I don't know him. But I'm telling you, like, he is such a prolific guy. I see him on social media all the time, and I just had to bring him on the show. So with that being said, come on up, Tariq Young. So glad you could be here. Now, what I'm going to do, because there are some topics that I definitely want to focus on for tonight's show. And for those of you that have been watching the flyers that I've been putting out and things of that nature, one of the topics is, do men hold each other accountable? So, with that being said, I want to show a quick clip as well. And this is also in light of June being Men's Mental Health Month. So, I would like to show this as well and then kind of dive into our conversation. So, here we go.
Lowest moment of your life?
That's suicidal.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was suicidal. I was
That's deep.
everything, dog. I had everything. Every time you turn on the TV, I was on every commercial, top of my game, playing 2 sports, and I tried to take myself out in Cincinnati, Ohio, basically because my babies had been taken from me. That was the only thing I felt like loved me at the time. Everybody else, they loved what I did, but they didn't love me because they didn't know me. Because I really went prime, I was Dion. I was up under extreme, I would call it stress, pressure, and I didn't no longer want to be here, man. And that was, God was calling me collect, and I wouldn't accept the charges. I was at the bottom of, to me, what life was. That's why you got public success, and everybody that's successful publicly, they're struggling somewhere privately. And you got to really understand that. See, the thing about it, we do this when the camera's on. We got to do this when the camera's off. We got to talk to each other, man. We got to love each other. We got to, hey, man, Fred, you all right, dog? Hey, dog, you all right, man? You all right, dog? Chad, you all right? Chad, you know, I do that with him all the time. You all right, baby? Talk to me. Just tell me you good. I'm good. I don't need nothing, don't want nothing. That's how it is. So we don't do that as men. Especially when we start putting folks on a pedestal, man. That's why you got to be careful who you call a role model, because a lot of these models out here playing roles. Ooh.
Okay, y'all. So, with that being said, let's kind of dive into this. And when I saw that clip, it made me think of in situations as men, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as men, I don't always think that there's even a safe space for you guys to really talk amongst each other. If there is an issue, or say, for instance, I'll give a prime example. Uh, Again, those of you who weren't on the show last week, you may not know, but there was somewhat of a tug of war, between myself and another guest. And quite honestly, I felt a little offended by it. Again, it may have made great headlines or, viewing entertainment. But at the same time, I just felt like it just didn't feel right for a man to treat me in that way. But what really struck a chord was that here it is, we're doing a men's show, and I got all these other men in the audience and on stage, and nobody said anything. So, like, nobody checked this man at all. Nobody said to this man, hey, maybe you need to calm down a little bit. Like, it's all good. You know what I mean? That didn't occur. So I guess the reasoning for this question too is, when is it okay for you all to step in and say to another brother, hey, I don't think what you're doing is right, or can I assist you to help you do it better? Or is that something that you all do? Because I know as women we do, but I don't know if that's something that is universal with men. So, Chad, I'm gonna give you the floor on that, sir.
Okay. Um, Simple answer to your question. There should never not be a there should never be a quote unquote wrong time to be able to hold somebody accountable. I think, um, and I did a little bit of homework, and as God would see fit, I actually saw a little bit of an account, even between you and I speaking this morning and now. The boxer Deontay Wilder. I don't know if anybody saw this. Is allegedly it has a restraining order against him by his fiance for DA. She's saying he did did this, did that, and this is a boxer now. And you're saying you put hands on her, that it means something different when you hear the average Joe saying that he put hands, and then a professional, and then a trained boxer putting hands on it. So, and then the question that I had there was, thinking about the show today, was for all the people that were around him, somebody, I would imagine somebody somewhere saw some sliver of evidence of that. And did any man say anything? You know? Um, so that's the one part. The other part, as far as the research that I did on this, taking it to bare minimum, saying it simply type things. When I think about the word accountable, I took it down to its base, which is account. And the account and definition of account is a detailed record. You know, when you're asking somebody to be accountable, you're asking them to check the record of what it is that's been said, what it is that's been done, their thought patterns, this, that, and the third. When it comes to, you know, dealing with human beings, I know we have the financial record, you know, the financial, you know, account, stuff like that, but it applies very much so to the human experience as well. You're asking for this person to give a detailed account of what it is that they did or didn't do in a specific situation, and was it sound? So applying it to what we're talking about tonight, us as men nowadays do not hold each other to as well of an account as maybe previous generations did. I don't know if it's, you know, other men feeling like you're going to get ridiculed if you do so, or other men feeling, you know, walking around perhaps with a chip on their shoulder. Like if you say something, some men are scared that if they say something, the next thing that they're going to catch is a brick to their head or a bullet or what have you. But yeah, I think it's something that definitely still absolutely has to be done, in spite of, you know, the potential repercussions. So I'm gonna start with that.
Okay, okay. Pastor People, let me ask you, because my thing is you also are of course you're a man, but you represent a whole different genre as well, because you know you had your own church. So my thing is, even in the church, is it an issue, you think, seeing, you know, men not being accountable for one another, or being able to encourage one another or lift each other up, or, you know, check each other per se, if need be? Is that something that you notice, that's lacking in the church, or something that could be better?
First of all, hello to all my brothers, and I wasn't on here last week, so I was kind of lost on what how you opened the show. But my brother just hit it. It's the climate of everything, and I'm in the airport. If you guys can hear noise behind me, it's you're almost careful how you step in situations. It's almost like a police officer. You don't know if you're gonna come home the next, leave in the morning, come home at night, because you don't know the climate of a situation. For instance, I had a situation at the church I pastor about 15 years ago, and it was funny because one of the brothers was at one of the sisters' house, and they called me. The sister was engaged to somebody else. I'm like, Pastor, get over here. They fighting. I'm like, they what? He said they fighting. I said, well, call the cops. And because I'm not gonna come there. And this gentleman say, now what the pastor doing to my house? You and the pastor must be doing something. Then now I'm in an altercation because I'm a man too, and so things can happen. But with the same couple, she ended up calling one of the mothers of the church. She told the mother of the church what she was going through, domestic violence and everything, different things was going on. So the mother of the church called me and told me what the sister said. So I said, okay, let's get the sister on the phone. I'm talking to the mother of the church now. Let's get the sister on the phone. Let's meet. So the mother of the church called the sister. They met me. When we got in the meeting, everything that this sister told the mother what this man was doing, she denied it. So now she has me involved in a situation, and she has denied everything. Oh, he didn't touch me. He didn't do nothing like this. He didn't. So we want to look at the man stepping in, but what's gonna happen after that?
Right.
After we step in and we show that we're man, we did. Will the denial come? Well, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And so we have to be careful and have discernment how we step in different situations, because stepping in, that brother may think you want his woman. It's kind of different. This is what I tell our members at the church also. Never put a man in a corner. I don't care if he's a soft man.
Mm-hmm.
Never put a man in a corner, because every man is a lion. And when you try to box us in,
Facts.
different things gonna come out. So we
Yep.
don't know how. It's different because the way we was raised with grandfather and different things, we had a respect level that the coach can check us. The Mr. down the street, Mr. John
Mm-hmm.
can check us.
Mm-hmm.
But this new generations, man, we may step in a situation and we may have to pull our fire, because just stepping in an innocent situation we thought, but now has changed our whole life.
And I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to touch on that later in the show as well. Like, what happened to the men's village? You know, back in the day, we always used to say, you know, it's we've got a village. You know what I mean? And it's like we don't have a village like that anymore. Especially even with men, like there's nothing that really ties you all together. You know what I mean, or to unify you all. So
It used to be the barbershop. Some of us can't go no more.
we get like.
You know,
That
some of
is
it, to my brothers who still have ain't nothing under here, but to my brothers who have it, respect. But it used to be the barbershop, you know, or the, you know, the cookout, you know, the men's corner, the cookout, you know, where everybody's all of us are crowded around the grill, or whatnot, or over by the drinks or whatever, you know, what have you. But and you're right, there aren't too many places like that where that level of open dialogue, and I'm not just talking about running back and forth about sports scores and so on.
Right.
So I mean like actual dialogue of, my man, I ain't see you last week. You good? You know, or you know, you look like you was tense as hell the other day. You know, are you all right? What's going on, man? I just you know, the kids is acting up, the car just broke down. I'm just like, you know, ain't enough money to stretch. I'm stuck. That kind of conversation is few and in between now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the exact opposite of what it needs to be. I need to be able to go to Dr. Calvin, to Wisdom, to Tariq, and be like, not even with them asking, I'd be like, yo, can I talk to you for a second? I just got laid off like a month ago, and I'm running out of money, and I'm not sure what to do now. You know, I'm putting out the resumes, I'm putting out the applications. Everybody's saying no, man. What the hell? You know, and being able to intercede and being able to show that level of empathy, you know, which doesn't look like feminine empathy. It doesn't.
Right.
Yes, it's empathy, but it's two different sides. It doesn't matter, brother. I hear you, man. I hear you. And sometimes it ain't even just about offering solutions. Sometimes it's just saying, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I've been there. I may not have been exactly in that type of situation, but I hear you. Let's come up with something. You know, do you want to try and come up with a solution right now, or you just need me to hear you right now?
Right.
And that's definitely what needs to happen.
That makes sense. Tariq, go ahead. I see you getting ready to say something.
I was going to say something, Miss J. I think it's changing now. My wife's a psychotherapist, and she sees a lot of men who are becoming more open to talking about what's going on the inside. But traditionally, men have kind of been used to internalizing things. And our dads didn't talk like that. But we're beginning to understand that holding things in is not necessarily the way to go. You know, I don't go to the barbershop anymore, but I think it's important that we find those places where we can talk, whether it's in church, whether you have a men's department, that the men get together. Sometimes you ain't got to talk about nothing. Just have some coffee, and just allow things to flow naturally that way. It's about building a brotherhood, and I understand what the doc said. Sometimes it is fear, but when you build a brotherhood with somebody, it makes it easier to be able to hold each other accountable because we're brothers. And you don't just hear from me when I'm giving you a word of rebuke or I'm trying to check you in some way. You got some brothers who are, they're still tough to talk to, and fear is a very real element. But I'm of the mind that Yahweh hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but a peace and love and a sound mind. So if I talk to a brother in a certain way that lets him know that I do care, as Brother Chad said, that I do care, I've been there, I understand, then I think chances are that brother will understand where I'm coming from, more so than if I was somebody who just trying to check him.
Go ahead, Wisdom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What the brothers just said is definitely on point. And a lot of things is we're taught by society at an early age that a man don't supposed to cry. We're taught and instilled in us that we don't supposed to show the emotional side, or we don't supposed to show how we feel. We just supposed to basically be provided and everything else shut it down. And they forget that we're human just like them. And so this generation, they're more like, I hear you, forget you, I'm gonna do it on my own. I got this type situation because it's when we was growing up.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Go ahead, Mr. Doctor.
Hey, while he's coming back on, what my brothers are saying is so powerful. I'd just like to share this. June 9th, 2021, and actually tomorrow will be 3 years. I was on my way to pick up my father. My father called me June 8th. He was a pastor. We talked 3 times a day. He called me and said, hey, pick me up tomorrow. I need you to take me to Fort Myers to my church, and I need to take some furniture. So I have a truck. I said, no problem. I'll be there at 10 a.m. because he sleeps all morning. He gets up at 10. So June 9th, wake up. I'm on my way to my dad's house. My stepmom called me like, hey, Pee-wee, I can't wake your dad up. I'm like, you can't wake him up? I said, I'm on my way there. She said, no, I can't wake him up. I called one of my security guys, who's one of my armor bearers, my security guy. I tell him to get to my dad's house. I'm on the way. My stepmom said she can't wake him up. I get there, God has called him home. I found myself in a place I had never been. So this is Thursday. He died that Thursday. So Monday, I wake up that Monday morning, I'm angry. Look, I'm going on 26 years of pastoring. That time it was 23, something like that. 23 years. I'm angry. My wife is getting ready for work. She look at me. I go to the closet. I get 2 ARs. I get two 9mm. I get 100 rounds to go to my truck and just like, whatever takes place today, just take place today. I get in my truck and I hear the voice of God say, well, what are you doing? So I go back in the house and just break down. So we buried my father the day before Father's Day. So I don't go to church for about 3 weeks. But when I went back to church, this is the first time I ever been this honest. I said, look, and it was COVID, so we're having outdoor service. And the parking lot is full. I said, listen, how many of y'all felt like cussing people out this week? Everyone was scared to raise their hand. I raised mine and say, look at here. Pastor been saying words he ain't said boy since high school. What I found myself being in a man cave. See, a man cave ain't just a room in your house. Man cave is right there. I found myself thinking things I shouldn't think. I had them laughing. All the men started laughing. I found myself looking at Nicki Minaj, and boy, Nicki so fine. I'm talking about pastor. Hey, I don't even drink, but I found myself wanting to drink. What? Because now I'm in a man cave, and I'm experiencing some things I had never experienced before. Men began to come to me that had never came before. Like, man, thank you for being honest. I thought I was the only one dealing with this stuff. So, if any pastors are listening to me, when we start being for real and letting people know that, look, we have problems. We fighting the same demons you fighting, even more. And sometimes we don't win, but you shake yourself off, get back up again. So my experience, look, I done been through, and I tell men all over the country where I go, look, it is okay to cry. It is okay to go to another brother, tell a brother what you're going through, because someone has went through or going through or just came out, whatever you're going through. So I had to experience that self. My sermons just were sermons until I had to walk it out for real.
Mm-hmm.
So
See,
yeah,
That's good.
now
That's
my
good right
brother's
there.
back on here now. My brother's back on here.
Go ahead with
this is the thing. I don't know what happened, but there was a lie. Our pride, our pride is the most deadliest thing that we have. We hide behind that pride because if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we feel like it's going to be used against us. We feel like society is going to say, you know what, he can do this, but he can't do this because we're going to limit him to this. So what happens is some of us surround ourselves with negative people or a negative group of guys, and you say, you know what, we're going to drink our problems away. We finna smoke it away. No, you may feel good for a few seconds, but it does not solve the issue. When you break down the word issue, it means it's you.
Mm, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
So the thing is, what is the solution to the word it's you? See, I was telling somebody yesterday, I was talking to a preacher friend of mine, and I was telling her, I said, we want the blessing, but we don't want to bless earth. We don't want to go through anything, but we want the blessing. So it's the same thing with the men, us men. We're open up partially here and there, here and there, here and there, but if we feel like if we open all the way up, the first thing come to our minds is will you use it against us?
Mm,
Especially in a marriage, especially in a relationship. I love you, babe, but you said I can be vulnerable, but can I really be vulnerable with you? Yeah, you're gonna talk to your girlfriend. So what are you telling your girlfriends?
Mhm.
Then they come back and say, well, you don't need to be with that man, girl, child, please. And their situation is 3, 4 times worse than yours.
that's true. That is true.
And they wonder why they still single. They wonder why they still murmuring and complaining about not having a genuine man. Truth be told, a genuine man don't deal with mess.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. You
I'm I'm
speak
I'm
on
I'm just I'm just saying we don't want a queen that's a hot mess that just keep up she say he say they say she say. You got to come correct. You want a genuine man, you got to be genuine yourself. You got to have your stuff together. I'm not saying that you perfect. Don't get me twisted, but we look at your attitude. We look at how you carry yourself as a woman. We look at your relationship with God. We look at how you communicate. The same thing you want from us, we want from you.
that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Everything ain't about material things. Material things gonna wither away. That house gonna go somewhere. Them clothes gonna wither away. Them jewelry, the dead folks have all of that gonna wither away. When all that wither away, what do you have?
That's true. That's true. That reminds me of a conversation I had this week with a girlfriend, and you always hear the saying of "What do you bring to the table?" And I
Yes.
said just that. You know what I mean? My thing is, you can't expect for us women, you can't expect a man to bring all of these list of things that you want to the table and you're not able to match it. You know, everything again is not about finances. You know what I mean? Yes, they help. We need them, right? But that is not the premise of any type of relationship. That's not the only thing. And sometimes you may have a man that may not be able to financially provide in the way in which you like. But if he offers assistance in other ways, if he is a great provider to your children, or he helps to keep the house straight if you at work, or, you know, all of these different, if he supports you, that is integral enough, just as if he was bringing in finances, you know. And a lot of women, I will say, don't look at it that way. They don't look at that as being, you know, an integral part. Go ahead, Tariq.
Yeah, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I mean, if we've been watching the news and we've seen this whole thing play out with Diddy, we understand that it's not about money.
Correct.
What we're getting down to is about character.
Yes, sir.
What type of character do you have? Do you have integrity? Are you respectful? Are you responsible?
Correct.
Very important. One thing, a man is not perfect, but there ought to be some non-negotiables. Are you respectable? Are you responsible? And do you have integrity? When it boils down to it, these are the most important things. But we go right to the provider and we ignore the other things. Yeah, it's great that he provides. A man ought to have a source of income to whereby to take care of his family, because the Bible says that a man that doesn't take care of his home is worse than an infidel. So you ought to be in a position where you ought to be able to take care of your home. But there's some character things that you ought to be able to pass along to your family. And as a man, that you ought to be able to pass along to another man. And when we talk about holding people accountable as a man, there are certain things that I'm looking to see reflected in another man. And when you're slipping in those areas as a man, if you're gonna hang with me, if we're gonna be boys, I have to be able to tell you, brother, you're acting out of character.
Yes, sir.
This is not how a man comports himself. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. This is stuff I want to hear.
Can I add to that? I was gonna be quiet, but you know me, Jay. Can I add?
Go
this
ahead,
is the thing. I'm trying to understand, and you know me. I'm trying not to act a fool. I'm really trying. Lord help me, Jesus. So we have some women that say, "I want you, or a man should love me unconditionally." How can we love you unconditionally when you put conditions on love? Christ didn't put conditions on love. Mankind put conditions on love. But we supposed to just open up and be there and give this and give that and give this and give that. Okay, we can give this and give that, but what else can we give when we have nothing, when we're empty on the inside? I should be able to go to my brother and be like, "Hey man, this is what's going on. I don't even listen. I don't even need a listening ear. I just want to chill." We don't do that no more because we feel so judged. We feel like we look down upon. We feel like we're being beaten down and scrutinized and all this stuff. So therefore, it goes down to the next generation and the following generation, then the following generation. Then we have the audacity to ask the question is, what happened? Why they're acting this way? When the question should be, why not? What did we do for it to be this way?
But see, that's why we're having this type of dialogue, because we need to figure out or to sense what the root issues are and how do we even change them? How do we correct it? I mean, as each of you all are here and as well as me, how can we each individually work on changing or modifying our communities so that we can, add these things, add these components? You know what I mean? Because it is lacking. Go ahead, Tariq.
Yeah, I said the dialogues like this are helpful. And one thing I always say is that nobody's perfect, and I say to the men, uh, don't put that kind of pressure on yourself
Mm.
to try and always be perfect. You're not a perfect being. The only perfect being died more than 2,000 years ago. So we're not perfect, but we're striving to be better. And I say to the ladies who might be watching tonight, don't put that pressure on us as men, because if perfection is your expectation, uh,
Mm-hmm.
you will inevitably be disappointed every time. So don't hold us to a level of perfection. As I said a minute ago, there should be some non-negotiables. A man should be respectful. He should be he should be responsible, and these types of things. But understand, even with all of that, we're not perfect, and we're trying to get it right. And we're dealing with some generational stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
We're just trying to get over.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure. We're just figuring out therapy. I told you my wife's a therapist, and for many years I didn't believe in therapy. I didn't believe in about telling some stranger my business. But you know what? It helps to be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And if you can't find somebody nearby, find somebody to talk to. If that
Yes.
means going to a therapist, if that means going to a
Yes.
pastor, find somebody and talk about it. It's better than internalizing it and then all of a sudden blowing up like a powder keg.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're figuring it out. And I think conversations like this, brother, will help us
Yeah.
to become better.
I would even
And
go so.
and ladies,
Yeah. Go ahead, Wisdom.
and ladies, pray us through. Don't beat us down. Pray for us and with us.
That makes sense. That makes sense. There was a comment to you, Wisdom. One of our normal guests, Chris, he said, well, Wisdom, look at today's society. It's so easy to beat down a man. We see it daily. It's hardly any real spaces for men to receive empowerment. And that's true.
Because they feel like we got it already.
Right.
Right.
Well, we
Right.
get right.
Right. This is a man's world, and so forth. That I hear the rhetoric in a lot of spaces where it's like, oh, you men have had the run of society all this time, and look at how bad things are, and so on and so forth. And that, okay, if you want to look for a problem, you always going to find one, right?
Right.
So somewhere, right? If it's not an issue with, how we did things in terms of infrastructure, then it's something that then we messed up politics. If we ain't messed up politics, we messed up the male female dynamic. We messed up the balance between war and peace with this, that, and third. It's not a question of did we do everything right, because like it's been said here by virtually everybody on the show, doing this thing is not it's not up to being a perfect science. It's not going to be. We're going to do things that are in alignment. We're going to do things that are out of alignment with what we should do and how we should function. Since you have a lot of people who are of I believe of a certain spiritual nature and whatnot, we have to whether or not we're in line with the divine. I didn't mean to rhyme that. I'm sorry, but
Yes.
I really didn't. But whether or not we're in line with the divine, that is a daily thing. That's the work. That's the struggle. That's the work. And for some of us, it's a little bit harder than others because we're not aware of what options. And this is going back to what I shared last week. We're only as effective as the options that we're aware of. If I know that I am more in control of how I respond to external stimuli than what I was taught by my mother or father or growing up, then as a man, that gives me more options to say, okay, I could respond by drinking it away. I could respond by smoking away. And wisdom, you got me thinking about that Solange song. I tried to smoke it away,
You,
right?
hey, yeah,
And I think about how often that happens with us, where we try to work it away.
yes, sir.
We try to sex it away. We try to drink it away,
Yes, sir.
smoke it away, pray it away. And sometimes that's just not the answer. Sometimes it really is, let me sit down with this and process this out. All right. All right. Let me ask for it. Let me ask for wisdom. Let me ask for divine guidance. And let me run it by people that I trust, that I know have solid and consistent perspective, and be like, yo, this situation, I'm having this situation. I want to handle it this way. What you think? He's like, don't do that. Don't do
Right.
that.
Mhm.
Don't do it. That's not a life-giving choice. That's not a wise choice. And having people in your corner to be able to do that does wonders. What needs to happen is more brothers need to. I'm not even going to say go and attain that, because a lot of brothers actually have it and just aren't using it. You
Yes,
know,
sir. Yes, sir.
wisdom is a divinely given trait. It can be cultivated, but it's given to people. All right, am I right, Pastor Doctor? I said it right, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm counting on him, because I'm gonna use references. I want to make sure I got it right. Okay. So that spirit, or that mindset, or that attribute of wisdom, and then having the courage to dispense with it, given a situation, and it's not even just the wisdom, it's the ability to effectively convey it. So that means you don't just have to have that gift. That means you have to train yourself in effective communication and effective comprehension. And this is going back to what I was sharing last week about understand about having that level of not only that level of observation and that level of assessment, but also that level of discernment, to be able to understand what your audience is and what's going to be the most effective way to convey that. So when we're talking about holding people accountable, it's not going to be a one size fits all. It's going to be commensurate to the experience that you're speaking to the situation that you're speaking to, and to the people that are involved in it. All right, the brother who was raised in an affluent neighborhood, you're not going to talk to them the same way that you speak to the brother that ain't from here. You know, or the brother that was raised in a struggling environment his whole life. You're not going to talk to him the same way to the brother that came from a six-figure family, grew up, and has a six-figure account himself. So finding out how to speak into those situations, finding out how to most effectively do it. We really are our brother's keeper, and I don't know where we lost that, or where it diminished to the point where people are questioning if it's even there anymore. But it's something that it's something that has to come back, and it has to happen one man at a time.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick, Chris, you're absolutely right. He does have something good to say. And before I actually introduce him, I wanted to make mention of something that he put in the chat. And it kind of ties into what Tariq was saying also, as far as we're still, as men, even as women, we're still dealing with a lot of generational stuff. And our brother Fred here mentioned that this is an origin, there's an origin to this.
Ooh,
We were
ooh.
never taught how to be vulnerable. So our fathers never taught us, and their father's father never taught them. So that's kind of like where we are. But go ahead, Fred. I'm gonna get you to elaborate a little more since you've been listening in, and go ahead and expound on things, brother.
So so I do want to expound on what I said. I mean, I think we all know that there's an origin to this. We all know, I think we know where the origin lies. At least most of us do.
Hmm.
The the fact is that, and I'm going to use myself as an example here. my father never taught me how to be vulnerable or open with my emotions and things of that nature. I never received that particular type of teaching. It wasn't until I turned 18 and went about my way to serve, serve my country, that I understood these things called emotions, these things called feelings, and then also being exposed to the greater spectrum of those emotions, and then not having an outlet to express those emotions in a healthy way, to where I could say that in a safe environment or in a safe space. And as I got older, there was still this struggle with that. Even when I got older, still struggling with that. Now certain things happen in my life. My mom and my father get divorced, and there's a lot of anger with that. Anger that was misdirected at the wrong people, the wrong person. I put it that way. And then also dealing with my own stuff that I was dealing with that, also dealing with being on both sides of the domestic violence thing, being a person that did it, that being someone that did it, but also someone that was abused in that way too. And those emotions too were though I had nobody to teach me how to deal with all these things, how to express those things. I think, and I'll kind of say this and then leave it at that. I think as us as men, I think we're taught more to compartmentalize than we are to express. And we're taught to compartmentalize because that's what we see from our father. I watch my father, and this true story. From the time I was old enough to look at my father and see him react in certain ways, I never saw him break down and cry. Never. It wasn't until he lost his mother, my paternal grandmother, to where I seen him express extreme grief and sadness. And it hurt me to my core, because to see my father like that, I'm several seats down from him, and all the while I'm trying to crane my head to see if he's okay. And the sight of me seeing my father bury his face in his hands hurt me to my core, because and it wasn't because I couldn't get to him. That wasn't the thing. Because if that was like, I could have easily just walked over, wrapped myself around him and held him and stuff like that. It was a simple fact that me watching him go through that, and me being powerless to even say anything, or even stop that from happening, stop those tears from flowing and things of that nature. So most of us, we do compartmentalize. We're taught compartmentalization first, expression second, or better yet, expression last. That's a last resort for a lot of us. And I'll say that, and again, I will put myself in that category, because at times that was me. Not so much now, but a long, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that was me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chris also said, absolutely, Fred. When men ask for grace in our community, because we're just learning about emotional intelligence, opening up, etc., how can men better help get their community to support them? Good question.
Wonderful, wonderful. I have a good initial answer for that, because I was already kind of sort of thinking along those lines. Remind them of our humanity.
A lot.
I know. Internally, I had to woos my own self as soon as I said, but we have to remind them of our humanity. We are not, and we suffer from the Superman syndrome hard, and part of that is the hole that we were put in, and part of that is the hole we dug.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why. Because it's expected of us to be the protectors, providers, and we're the ones that go fight the wars. We're the ones that build the buildings and pave the streets and so on. So we're expected to be this outlet. We're expected to give and give and give and give and give and give and give. We're even biologically engineered to be the givers, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with that when it's not put in proper context, when it falls out of balance with all of our other attributes, that's all that's expected of us. Give. You're a man. You're a man. Give. Give space. Give of your time. Give of your energy. Give of your effort. Give your skills. Give your and then give space for the other people who need to be heard and need to be seen and need to be validated and need to be consoled and need to be validated and whatnot. And what happened and what we find ourselves in is like, because we tie that to our value, we tie that because we tie our sense of utility. Chris Rock, what is it? Chris Rock said it. Is a clip that was circulating sometime. He said only women, children, and pets get loved. A man is only as loved as he is useful.
Mm-hmm.
So because so many men, and myself included, and I've worked so hard to uproot myself from this, because so many men tie their utility to their value, and in some aspects because society does that. We end up having to say, we have to say no to that. You're like, no, I'm not just a tool. I'm not just a doer. I'm a thinker. I'm a feeler. I'm a human. Sometimes I need time to process stuff.
Got a voice.
Sometimes I don't want to be politically correct. Like Dr. Calvin saying, I love that you did that, brother. Where he's just like, sometimes I want to curse you out. I'm not going to, but understand that I want to. All right.
Right.
Understand that that's not outside of mine. Understand that that's not outside my ability for me to say I need to rest.
Right.
Understand that it's not outside my ability to say I need a moment. Understand that it's not outside my ability as a man to say, you know what, I'm not even going to put my mouth on that right now. Let me process that. Give me time. Give me space. Don't bother me. And just like other people do, we give it to our children, we give it to the significant others in our lives and whatnot, and we have to understand that we need that as well. And
this is the thing
that is part of the conversation. Hey, I heard all that. I got the bills. I have the bills. I have the marriage. I have work. I don't have enough arms. I got to balance it on my fingers now. I got to balance this one on my head. I got to put this one on my knee. And all right, I'm holding all of this. And my weight don't look like yours because we're not the same.
Right.
But understand that I'm holding, and also understand because I'm balancing stuff just like you, and just like you, I need I also require these moments. It's not just going to be the stereotypical, oh, a man gets his peace when he goes to the barbershop. A man gets his peace when he goes to use the restroom. And trust me, it's like my sanctuary for a second. I ain't going front, because that's the only place that I had to think.
Right.
To really just think and be like, oh, yeah. this really for more than one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said a key word. You said process.
Yes.
And a lot of times we as men are not, or I ain't gonna say not, we're not given the opportunity to just sit down and just process every single thing, especially when the queen is getting on our freaking nerves. Want to be argumentative? Yeah, we're gonna take care of the kids and this and that. I got your car, I got my car. We got the church, and we got this and that. But before we do anything, can we just sit down and not say nothing? All right, can you just? I'm gonna just say it straight up. Can you just shut up?
I would say it better, but yeah, I hear you.
Like just hush. Just breathe. Like uh,
Right.
yes, we love you, but we just need that little bit, even if it's just 10 minutes. Just leave us alone.
That
Let me
goes
And
say
like,
back.
this, then I've got to go
Go ahead.
catch my
Go ahead.
flight. I got. Hey, brothers, y'all have helped me. I need to send all y'all a check, man. Y'all,
Come
y'all,
on, come on.
y'all, golly,
come on in the
because
room.
yes, sir. These brothers and what we're saying tonight, we are brothers trying to stay home and not leave the
Yes,
house. See, because our great granddaddy, what he would have did, he would have just went on down the road to the next lady house, and that's where he
yes,
got his
sir.
rest at. He got his rest to the other house, to the mistress
That's it.
house. But see, we brothers, we're trying to get our therapy, we're trying to get our love, we're trying to get our support, we're trying to get it all in our house, and we ain't trying to leave the house. My brothers,
That
y'all have blessed
part.
me. y'all have blessed me so much. Lady J, make sure I get all the information, and I've got to get on this flight because I got to head back home to Florida.
All
But
right.
much love to all y'all, man.
Be
Yes,
careful,
sir.
Thank
man.
you,
Be
Dr.
careful, sir.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Safe
Thank
flight,
All right.
brother.
you.
All right. Yes, sir. All right.
One thing.
And what you're saying though, wisdom, that kind of touches back to a comment that I put up earlier from one of our guests, Daryl. He was saying that it's almost been taught that you have to perform before you can express. You
We
know,
do. We do. It's like putting on
Yes.
a Batman suit, and
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to save Gotham from all the criminals.
mm-hmm.
So when we take the Batman suit off, in reality, we can't take it off because we're still saving them from Joker. We're saving them from Two Eyes and Catwoman and all the other folks. So when we're worn out, who is there for us?
Mm.
Batman could never be
We
Bruce Wayne. Batman could
right
never
when
be
we on
Huey
our
Lynn.
back, who's there for us? Because
True.
Mhm.
our body do shut down.
Yeah.
Then you have a fit when we shut down. We
Brother,
all right. I'll talk to
you
you
got
later.
you
What's
got
wrong
to
with
wonder
you?
why. You got to
Yeah.
wonder why we died 7 years earlier. On
That
average.
Exactly.
part.
Yeah.
You got to. I said that last week. I'm gonna say it this week. I'm probably gonna say it again next week. Next show.
Me too.
It is part of the weight. You want us to be outlets, and it's not that we run. It's not that we run from that. It's not that we don't want to perform. It's not that we don't want to provide. It's not that we're not outlets. It's just that we're not just outlets.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
part.
All right. It has to be the expression where it's got to be like, all right, I need pouring into so that I can pour back out. I need pouring into so that I can pour back out. And for a lot of us, what happens, especially speaking to, a lot of the statements that some of us have said, where it's like where we didn't get that from the previous generation. I will challenge the men here and
Mhm.
any man who's listening for this to look at your situations, whether it be commonplace right now, what's happening right now, or from your childhood, from your formative years. And I challenge you to try and pull lessons from that. Even if
Yes,
they
sir.
weren't direct, even if it wasn't your dad or your grandpa sitting you down and be like, hey son, hey grandson, this is what you should do. Even if you can pull from the deficit that you receive. All right. And I'm using myself as an example because I shared a very powerful story about my father last week about, some of the ways that he was able to communicate. He didn't get that from his father.
Right.
What happened was that my grandfather, he told me enough times for me to remember this permanently. He said his father did not tell him that he loved him until he was 21.
And see, that's the thing.
A
A
whole
lot
grown
of us, whew,
Mm.
we don't get that till we 20, 23, 30, 40, because they wasn't taught that. And the generation before that, they wasn't taught that. So we are forced to teach ourselves. So we're trying
That's
to
what he did.
stop and break that chain from them going through that. That's why it's so important to tell your nephews, your godsons, they ain't even gotta be related to you. Hey homie, I love you.
Say
Let's
it.
go get some ice cream.
Say that. Men need to hear that, not just from our romantic partners, not even just from our
Yeah,
kids. All right. And it's something, because it's something unique about hearing that from another brother. All right. We're used to hearing the women in our lives saying, we're used to hearing our mothers and
Yes.
aunties and sisters and so on.
Mhm.
We're used to hearing our kids, our sons and our daughters say, we're used to that. But it's something, and it's different depending on where it's coming from, right? Because if mom say I love you, it's not going to hit the same as if your woman say I love you, right? It's
Right.
because it's sourced differently. To hear that come from another brother, hey man, yo, before you go, just want you to know I love you, man. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here, man. Thanks for talking with me. Thanks for coming out and being part of the party, of the conversation. This and the third. Really appreciate it. That is a unique take, and a lot of men don't even know what to do with it because
They
it's
think it's a gay
it's a
thing.
rarity.
That's why. They
It's a
think it's a
rarity.
homosexual. I want to make this very clear. It's not a homosexual thing for another dude or another brother to say, I love you. Look in the Bible, Christ said, I love you. God said, I love you. So why are you taking it as a homosexual thing?
Right.
That's how, but that's
Because
how the younger
because
cats
we
don't
only
see it.
equate love to being romantically referenced, even though most of us have other references of love around us, we pigeonhole ourselves into, well, only love I get is from my woman, and that's romantically referenced, or my kids, but that's different because they're my kids. But
Right.
but the Bible did. I gotta find this. Somebody sent it to me, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. There are seven major types of love that are discussed. All right, you got familial love, romantic
Mm-hmm.
love, erotic love, stuff like that. The love between coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
the love between God and man, the love between man and
Right.
himself, the love between man and what he does, and so on. And there's some other breakdowns for it. Walking around armed with that knowledge and then understanding where it's coming from, depending on who's saying it, and being able to internalize that is going to put men in a much better it's going to put
Right.
men in a much better position for how we handle ourselves, and it puts us in a much better position for how we then carry that forward as far as how we deal with the people that we're connected to. All right, their friends,
True.
foes, co-workers, romantic partners, children, parents, you name it.
Right.
But it has to start with being able to say that it's even possible. You got too many men out here thinking, ain't no love in the heart of the city,
Man.
right? And you got brothers out here walking around feeling like ain't no love to be taken in. And
Right.
it's gonna take brothers like us. It's gonna take women like you, Miss J, to be able to be like, no, that's not true. I understand that your situations and your circumstances would have you walking away believing that. Don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
Dab hard.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
one of the things you mentioned, Chad, is the love. But how do we get there if, number one, we don't know how to love ourselves first? How do we get there
It does have to start with, you're right.
if we don't know what that looks like, what that feels like, what that tastes like, what that sound like?
You have to
We gotta
ask.
know what that looks like in to all five of our senses.
True.
But before we know what
And
it
beyond
looks
and
like,
beyond that. And
Yeah.
beyond that, yeah.
before we know what it looks like, you gotta allow yourself to be open to it. It's like trying a new food. You can't judge by how it looks. You gotta taste it before you say I don't like it.
Right. Right.
Well, love is the same way. I never felt it. I heard about it. I seen it. Okay, so allow yourself to be open to it,
Let me
to
go
experience.
find out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to experience. You can't say, you know what, babe, I love you. I'm deep in love with you, and you don't allow yourself to experience. Well, it's the same thing with a brother.
Right.
You can't say, you know what I mean, you his homeboy, you're not friends, and you don't allow yourself to be open, and you expect yourself to grow from that. No.
You can't. You're gonna stagnate. And again, it starts
Absolutely.
with us first. We gotta start within us first. And I've said this on a couple of my own podcasts. It starts with reconciling that little boy that dwells in each and every one of us as men,
Right.
and
Reconciling. That's another
not
one.
not protecting, reconciling, because people think protection and reconciliation or synonymous. They are not.
Two different things.
What I say
not.
last week about going back and parenting yourself.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
part.
That's
different
that is
things.
no small thing. That's no small thing, but it is crucial. Don't count on your parents, because your parents might not know. But you know what? You can go. You can know. You can find
Mhm.
out. You go back and talk to 5-year-old Wisdom, or 5-year-old Fred, or 7-year-old Miss J. Go back and talk to 10 or 12-year-old Chad, and be like, "Yo, I know you feeling. I know you feeling this way. It gets better. Look at me. It gets better. You know,
Right.
be a student."
Yeah.
I tell people. I tell my clients all the time. The most powerful thing that you can do. I say this at the onset of all my sessions with my clients when I'm first starting with them. I said the most powerful thing that you can do, as far as partnering with me and getting you from where you are to where you want to be, is to become a student of yourself.
Mm.
Ask questions.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Ask questions.
Yes,
Do
sir.
the research.
Ooh-wee.
Don't assume. Don't assumption is the killer of progress.
Yeah, it is.
Big time.
Well, you need to write a book about that. Ooh,
You're the
Jesus.
second person to say that. You're the second person to say that to me.
Mm. Mm.
You're the second person to say
I'm
that to me
sorry.
in
I'm
as many
sorry.
days.
Yeah.
Don't, what you apologizing for?
You
You're
better
right.
you better get the writing, so you better
Okay,
get the writing, because I want my autograph copy. Get the writing. I want my autograph copy.
I got
But
you.
I think the other thing is like and Chris just mentioned the other thing,
Mhm.
identity.
Yes.
Oh,
Who are we as Black men? What do we represent? What do we stand on? What do we feel about not only ourselves, but also the greater world around us?
Right.
Who are we inviting into our orbit? Who are we invite into our orbit to share our little small pocket of the universe?
Mm-hmm.
If we're inviting good people into our orbit, then that care about us, that love us, that want to make sure that we're okay, then and that will allow us to express who we are, then that's a good thing. But if we invite people that are malevolent and malicious, or high benevolence, who feign benevolence with malicious intent, then that's not good.
yeah.
So we got to ask ourselves, who are we as Black men? And it's not, and we can't just give the basic answer. You can't
Right.
say,
No.
well,
See,
I'm a king. Bro, that's too basic.
ooh,
Way too basic.
see. Mm.
Can't
We
You
be
we
can't
we,
say
can't
that
just
I'm
be
just a
can't just
king.
be
I'm
Bills
just no,
basket.
brother.
Can't just be
we,
Bills basketball beats and BDE. Y'all know what
Yeah,
happens.
come
see,
on,
we
man.
hold on to what the white man did. We hold on to the KKK. We hold on to 1960, 1500, 1300, 1400. That's not who we are.
Nope.
We got to look at the right now. Because let's be transparent. Our foundation. You asked a few seconds ago, what is our foundation? Anger,
Mm-hmm.
hatred,
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like ourselves.
Disillusionment.
Living in how the temptation say, just my imagination.
Yes.
Yeah, but we want the women to love us and unconditional. We want to raise our children, but not realize. I ain't gonna say we're not realizing. We choosing to pour that toxic into them. So therefore, the cycle repeats itself over and over and over and over again.
That's part of the fight. We have to
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. We can't act like generationally we didn't internalize some of the damage that was visited upon us, to say that we were less than. I know we struggled against it, but for a lot of us we internalized that unwillingly and unknowingly. We
Yeah,
internalize some of that stuff, because
I'm willing.
ain't no way you're gonna get beat down, and not have some piece of it stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
So just like it was done generationally to us, it's going to have to be the generation. It's going to have to be the opposite, where it's like where you say no. You are not less than. You are not. I say this to my 10-year-olds and to my kids now. My 12-year-old daughter, my 10-year-old son. I was like, listen. The faster I can get you to understand who you are, and that you don't, I'm not, and that you don't need to be mommy, you don't need to be daddy. I need you to be you. The faster I can get you to do that, the better off you're going to be. All right.
Oh, boy, you just said another keyword. Be you.
30. Yeah, absolutely.
You
That goes
be
back to
your
identity
own
and design.
person.
That goes back to identity and design. Everything that we're saying is stacking one on top of the other. It goes back to identity and design. Don't be me at 30 figuring out who I was. You know, just figuring out who I have only truly been in my real skin for 12 years. Truly been in my skin, been in my real authentic balls to bone Chad Nail skin for 12 years. Don't be that. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Don't think that you got it together and then stop being a student of yourself, because that's what I did. Don't leave it. Don't think that you're only level 1, level 2, level 3, and you're good. All right, go down to level 99 where you max out, because I'm thinking video game, right? You max out at 99, right? Right? Go all the way to level 99. Master all of that. Pick up all the skills. Use everything that's in you to be used. All right, and then when it's time to go, leave this life empty.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tariq. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say I love what he said about being you. Be you. A lot of times we tend to look at our progress based off somebody else's progress.
You better say it, sir.
And when you look at somebody else's life, you tend to look at your own life negatively. But don't base your progress based on somebody else's progress. Be the best you that you can be.
Yes.
And work on you. I love the name of this program, Miss J. It's shaking up the algorithms. You got to work on you. And don't look at the next man, what the next man is doing, because he's at a different part of the race than you are. The thing is, you just want to finish, and you want to finish strong in the place that the Almighty has designed you to be.
Yes, sir.
I can't run Brother Chad's race. I can't run Brother Wisdom or Frederick's race, because that's their race.
That's right.
I got to live my own life, and I'm trying to be the best Tariq
that you can be,
that I can be. But I love programs like this because truly, indeed, it's shaking up the algorithms, and it's teaching us, number one, that we can be better than what we were. We're not married to our past, but we can progress, and we can do better than our fathers did. I heard somebody say earlier he never saw his father cry before. He never heard his father say, "I love you" before. I never heard those things before too.
Yeah.
And into some great respect, I'm 53 years old, and in some great respect, I'm still healing.
Yeah.
I'm healing from the trauma of my childhood, but at the same time, I have to be a father.
Yes.
At the same time, I have to be a husband. So, somebody said it earlier, give me a little grace. I'm giving myself a little grace. Because I'm learning stuff and relearning it on the go.
Right.
On the go. I don't have time. I don't have time to all the time, like the brother said, to sit back and reflect, but I got to take it somehow.
Yes, sir.
I got to take it somehow and really think about where I've come from.
Yes, sir.
And at the same time, visualize where I want to go.
It's a balance.
Oh, that's
it is a balance. We all have things that we have to do. We all have things that we are responsible for. Our obligations as fathers, as workers, as business owners, as friends, and so on and so forth. So finding that balance between the giving and the giving and the producing, and then the expression and the expression and the introspection. That's the balance. That's the work. And my balance, just like you said, Brother Tariq, you can't run my race for me, nor could I run it. If I ran your race, I'd probably drop dead early.
Yep.
You ain't lying. I would have been dropped it.
Exactly.
Okay.
No
All right.
equipment, no nothing.
But to run my race and to move according to move according to who I am and whose I am, uh, that's the best result. Not to say that it's smooth, and by its nature, we shouldn't expect it to be smooth because
No.
that's just not how life is fashioned. That is a fact of life. All right, life is comprised of the highs and lows, and the highs are there to teach us something. The lows are there to teach us something. Uh, but in both cases, they're meant to move us forward in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if that
Yeah.
means physically. All right, you had a health scare. Okay, that means work on your physical. You going through a mental thing. Okay, that means work on your mental. You went through a depressive episode. Okay, that means work on your mental. Uh, the people around you are telling you that you all cold and distant. Okay, work on your emotional. You know, uh, and life is an ally like that, where it will put stuff in your face, and your job is not to say why me, or why is this happening to me, but what am I to learn from this?
Exactly. Exactly.
And those lessons, we can take those lessons not just for ourselves, because no lesson is ever just for yourself, but
No.
we can take those lessons and give them to the next man that moves him along, and then when it's our turn, some man that learns some other lesson that we didn't get will pass something along to us, and then that makes us better. All right, but to do nothing, or to feel like to give up, or to feel like, oh, I'm only this many levels, when you're actually this many levels, or say this is as good as life gets, or that ain't my business. It's that's what makes us truly stagnant, from an individual and a societal standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding what your abilities are and working those abilities to the best possible way that you can. Just like you said earlier, Chad, about getting to the highest level instead of just stopping, just cutting yourself off at level 50. Geez, if there's no level cap, get to the
Go,
highest that you can get to.
go,
Go, I mean,
max out.
yeah, because a lot of us, and I'm putting myself in this category. A lot of us, we, and I'm gonna say it's for me. I've slept on and discounted a lot of my own personal abilities. I and never took a chance on certain things that I knew that I was good at doing.
Hmm.
I'm like, and never took a chance on my own writing until I actually wrote a book, and people responded well to it. Never took a chance on it because I didn't think I was good enough to do it. A lot of us, we fall short because we think we're not good enough to do something, or better yet, like I think one of the brothers said earlier, we don't even make an attempt to do it.
We don't.
And then you look at, and then my fear was, I'm looking at other authors that are successful, way successful to me, and I was a rookie, I was a newbie at the time. I'm like, I can't do this because these other cats are way more successful than I am, because they write stuff that people can relate to, and the thing of it is, I'm just as talented as they are. I don't have to write their stuff,
Right.
Make
but I
your
can write
stuff.
my own. I can write stuff that I can relate to. I mean, and we discount our own abilities and our own potential, and that's another thing that short stops us or stagnates us, because we discount our own potential and our own abilities to be great. Because when we look at something, and again, it's about looking at the other person, like they're at this higher pinnacle than me, and I'm looking up at them, and they don't care. They're not even concerned with looking down at me, but I'm looking up at them because I want to aspire to be who they are, or be where they are. When in actuality, all I gotta do is be Fred. That's it. That's all I gotta do is be Fred. And everything else, and all those pinnacles and all those levels that I want to get to,
Yeah.
slowly but surely, I'm gonna get there, step by step, inch by inch. This is, brothers, I want y'all, for the gentlemen that's listening to this, gentlemen, I want y'all to understand that this is not a sprint.
No.
There's no rush to get anywhere.
Not
Take your
only that,
time to get to where you have to be. This is a marathon. Take your time, and there's stages to marathons. Take your time to get to where you want to be. Learn all you need to learn. Actually, learn more than what you need to learn. Make sure get yourself in front of the right people. Put yourself in front of the right people. Put yourself in front of the right things. And I'm not saying to be a saint or nothing like that, because again, we're not perfect beings by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to make errors and we're going to make mistakes.
Right.
And that's something that is afforded to us as being human beings. The thing of it is that, like you said earlier, Chad, learn a lesson from it and then extrapolate what needs to be learned from it and apply it to move forward. Some of us stagnate ourselves because we don't want to move forward. We stuck at this crossroads, and we don't want to move left, right, or move or just go straight. A lot of us men have these crossroads experiences, and we're still stuck at the crossroads because we don't know which direction to go. Dude, just don't think about it. Just move.
Yeah.
this is the thing.
Look at it and assess. Yeah. Go ahead. Wasn't
It costs everything to be like someone else. It costs you nothing to be yourself,
Right.
man or woman.
Not a thing.
Yep.
I never wrote a play in my life, but I did my first play on Clubhouse. Me and another young lady. We in the process of doing part two now. As soon as I leave here, we're gonna get in part two now. And I'm like, hold on, I could did it like you just said. I could did this long ago, but I was worrying about what John was doing. I was looking at John way up here. I'm like, man, I want to be just like John. Even with that, you got to be careful because what John did to get there, you're gonna go through what John went through to get there.
And that might not be
I
for
don't
you.
want to be like John. I want to be me.
It might not be for you.
Right.
Right.
Thing.
And besides, I mean, I think at the end of the day, when we all leave this particular planet, when God says it's our time to go. Again, what I want to hear when I get up there and God reads my page out of the book of life, I want to hear say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Faithful servant.
At the end of the day, that's what I want to hear, because I know
That's my benediction.
I gave it all. I gave it all here, and I left it here. I left it on the field. I left it on the field to play.
That's
I gave
it.
everything I had.
That's my benediction.
All right,
Like
I'm gonna make
I gave it everything I had, and
I'm gonna put a section.
all.
That's my benediction. I ain't got nothing else to say. That's my
at the front of
benediction.
my book. I'm gonna put a section at the front of my book with just quotes and whatnot. And one of the quotes that I put is one of the greatest way, and not the only way, but the greatest way that you can offer both worship and praise simultaneously to God is to do and be what you were designed for.
Say that.
And I promise you, if I'm lying, I'm lying. Ain't nothing better that you could do. There is nothing. And when they say when you talk about being obedient,
Right.
it's not just about being obedient to a set of standards. It's about saying yes to how you were fashioned.
Say that.
I could sing. If I were to say I'm never going to sing again, I'd be sinning.
You better sing. You better sing. So
I'd be sinning, which just means being off the mark. Off the mark of what? Off the mark according to how it was designed. For me to have been given a singing voice and not sing, that is a disservice.
Yeah.
For me to not write and I have the ability to write is a disservice. For me to not offer, my counseling or my coaching services when I've been given a gift to do divinely, came by it honestly. To not do that. To not say to the next man,
can I say this?
Because I can do it, you can do it. Because I went through hell and I figured out how to do it, I'm gonna give you this so that you don't have to go to hell at all.
Well, you preaching.
Can I
That's
say
my
this?
business.
I'm 53 years old.
I'm
53 years old. It took me about 47 of those years to figure out that there's a market for what I got.
There you go.
There's a market for what you got. And I don't care how small you think it is, there is a ministry for you. There is a market for you where you can bless somebody. Just being you and using the gift that you have.
My God.
I never have to preach like Paul. I never have to sing like the best singer. I may not be the best singer. I may not be the best preacher. But what I have is enough.
Yes.
Right.
It's enough. And there's somebody out there that needs what I have.
Yep.
Somebody out there. There's a ministry for each one of us. The soul that Chad might be able to get to, I might never be able to reach.
Right.
That brother Fred might reach. It's not for me to reach.
That's right.
It's not for me. It wasn't assigned to me.
No, it's for Fred to reach him. That's why he did it.
What's assigned to me will come to me. And what I have will be exactly what that soul needs. And it will be exactly what the market dictates.
You know what?
That's it.
My gift
I'm
will
attack
make
on
room for
something.
me.
I'm gonna tack on something to this comment. I'm gonna tack on one more thing to this comment that just came through from Trailblazers. Not just a disservice to self, and not just a disservice to God. It's a disservice to you, whoever you're supposed to touch.
That's good. That's good.
Let me add to that.
Say that.
I know. I'm gonna jump right back in the pulpit.
I'm finna add to that, and I'm going back on mute. Stop thinking yourself small. Nobody in the kingdom of God is small.
Nope.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is the point I was about to say. To deny yourself, in reference to what I just said, is to deny somebody else the ability to take a step forward.
Yes, sir. Oh my God.
There is a lesson that you could give somebody. There is a lesson or a piece of advice, or maybe not even working with them directly. Somebody could just see how you walk in a room
and change their life.
You are always one experience away from changing yours or somebody else's life, whether that's by something you do or say, or somewhere you go, or something you don't do, don't say, or don't go to.
Oh my God. Man, y'all done got me full. DUA. I'm done. I am done.
I wanted to say this because, again, this has become a great forum for you all men to be able to voice some things that you may not really have an opportunity, or, as stated earlier, the outlet to do. So that was why this was created for you. But I wanted to show another clip real quick. And this is going to touch on a little bit of what's going to be expounded for next week's show.
I'm going to definitely be here for next week's show.
Yes, you are. I already know you're going to have a whole lot to say. Already.
Ooh, Lord, you already know me.
But next week's show, of course, we are going to strictly talk about relationships.
Oh God!
How men are perceived in relationships, or
they ain't ready for that. They ain't ready.
I'm ready. So
I want to show this clip, and I'm going to.
They don't want them parts of that conversation.
Yeah, they ain't ready.
They gonna get it.
They're gonna get that smoke.
Respectfully. They gonna get it.
I'm with y'all. Okay. So yeah, let's play this clip.
What I tell black women, if you know you weighing too heavily on your king, Go find you a surrogate dad. Go find you an elder, somebody who's too old to want something from you, and ask him, can he be that person that can give you honest advice and a hug when you need it? And the same thing with men. Because for men who didn't have their mother, not only do they look for women to fulfill those needs, Nick, but you know what else? They become the domestic abusers. If you were to interview men who abuse their women of any race, but we're talking about us, you will find that disproportionately, they were either abandoned by their mothers or abused by their mothers in some way. They carry that pain in them. It never went away. And guess what? When the girlfriend starts letting them down and disappointing them,
it's transferred to her.
The transference from the mother.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this. Well, you probably do because you read the news. We dealing with an epidemic of black men killing 8 black women, choking them, killing it. We never did that. We never did that. And now we doing it. Going back to your mental health piece. Black men, because we are the most oppressed, we're the most traumatized. But you know what else? Because of our definitions of masculinity, which says a man can't be vulnerable to get help, we're the least likely to go get some damn help. Black men are in pain, but we covered up with the exterior. But when we get behind the privacy of our door in our home, we let all that pain out on the only person who loves us unconditionally, and that's the woman. You see, I always tell people this. If you don't like you, why are you expecting him to like you? Why are you looking for a relationship if you ain't got one with yourself first? You don't like yourself. Why are you shopping for? If you don't like yourself, why would anybody else like you? You don't even like you.
You don't like yourself, and you looking
I'm supposed to spend
somebody else to like you.
That's insane. Same thing with self-esteem. I tell people, if you got low self-esteem, you have no business dating somebody with high self-esteem, because the only thing you could be to them is an emotional slave. We always talk about being equally yoked economically. We talk about being equally yoked educationally. What about being equally yoked psychologically? Because guess what,
and
Nick?
Emotionally.
Absolutely. If Nick Cannon dates a sister who has no self-confidence, first of all, you're not going to want her, because without self-confidence, you're not attractive. But on top of that, you're going to end up being her slave master.
Dominating her. Then she want to call me a narcissist.
Because she has no... But don't get me wrong, though, Nick. I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to say this. For us black men, we do have a narcissism problem in relationships with our women.
100%.
Do you understand me? We have
because that's an ego problem.
It's an ego problem.
Can we do this show? Can we do this show tomorrow?
Exactly. I'm feeling a certain kind of way right now.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm right now. It's good that it's next week. That'll give me some time to build up some stuff for this, because I already have some stuff. Now I got to go do research.
Because for me, there are generalities there that, to me, that don't necessarily.
It's a hot mess.
But there are generalities there that don't add up to me too.
Exactly.
That's I don't know if he was speaking in generalities, because I did hear him say disproportionately, which means there are exceptions to some of the things that he was saying. But in any case, I'm like, it's going to be good, and that actually gives, because we know that this is not a perfect science, that actually can give us a means to take some of the more pertinent and salient points and further it along. So even with it being flawed, that gives us a platform to actually and a springboard to actually address some of the flaw points and refine it even further. So I'm with it.
That's right. Let's go.
See with me, I don't know about any other brother here. I deal in specifics.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily. I deal in specifics. Generalities are just that to me. Generalities, because that speaks on the whole. If you're gonna talk about something like that, let's break that down. Let's be specific.
Break it down.
And the other thing I don't deal in is absolutes.
Yeah,
I don't deal in specifics. I deal in specifics, but I don't deal in absolutes.
I'm with you.
Because to deal in absolutes, meaning that's a final thing. And the only thing to me that is absolute is God.
Right.
And those are the types of points that make it good for us to share with the other brothers when we do when or if we do encounter it. Now I won't even say if when, because that's almost inevitable.
All the time.
Until
We encounter it every day.
until it gets to the point that it becomes so prevalent that we don't even have to give that level of advice anymore. We're going to have to, because we have brothers out here that are still operating off of flawed and skewed narratives. Because we have brothers out here that are all operating still operating off of generational trauma. Because we have brothers here that are just operating off of pure bad advice.
That part.
Yeah.
That part right there. Can I say this?
Go
Yes.
ahead.
Like I said, as men, we have to be able to identify where the wise counsel comes from.
Right.
Bad advice has messed up more relationships, has messed up more families, a whole bunch of things. Identify, I think you said it earlier, Brother Chad, is identify people around you who are of a sound mind and who have a pattern of being of showing consistency. They don't just talk stuff, but they live it. And just finding the right sources to be able to get this stuff too. Don't get it from Pookie on the corner, who hang out at the he hang out by the liquor store, and we getting Pookie's advice. Well, Pookie a drunk.
and what's crazy is
so he giving you the drunkard's advice.
What's wild is even having an experience like that, hearing Pookie on the corner is a good piece of advice on what not to do.
Oh, what? Yeah, there you go.
So a good reminder of what not to do. So sometimes even that aids you in moving forward. You got three ways to aid in life. You can look at your situations and your circumstances and you say, what am I to learn from this? And they're going to teach you one of three things: something to cultivate, which means to make more of, something to mitigate, which means to make less of, or something to eliminate.
It's a blessing or a learning experience.
There it is. In any one of those cases, you ate.
Yeah, true indeed.
You like how I did that, right?
That's true indeed. That was powerful. But I don't know if we're about to cut down because it's 8:37.
Yeah.
But I just want to say again just how much I appreciate this session, and it's good for brothers like us to get together and talk about this. If alcoholics can go to Alcoholic Anonymous, sex addicts can go and they can talk about what it is they talk about. There ought to be a forum where men can get together and talk about things that affect men. So I appreciate this sister putting it together. It wasn't a man; it was a sister.
That's right.
Who thought of men and put this thing together so that men could talk it out. Yeah. So I appreciate you, Miss J. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
You are welcome, Tariq. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And guys, with that being said, we are going to shut it down for the night. This has been an awesome show. And again, I'm looking forward to next week because it's going to get hot and heavy next week. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'm ready.
I guess I'm going to have to be the representative for the women. But I can hold it down. I can definitely hold it down.
Well, I watched last week and I watched this week. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sometimes you don't necessarily know what you're called to do until you do it. And
that's
I guess
right.
I'm right in my element right now. So I'm loving it. But with that being said, again, thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here. Hopefully, I can see all of you next week. If not, it has been a pleasure to have you on tonight's show. Thank you again to Wisdom, who dropped off, as well as Dr. Pee-wee. I do appreciate you so much. To everyone that is in our listening audience, our viewing audience, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight, giving your comments and your feedback. It is always necessary and needed. So thank you all for being you. And we are going to end it tonight. So you all have
It was
a great
a pleasure,
night.
brothers.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Find us on our social media page.
Tune in for our next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you won't miss out on any future episodes.